police boss in charge of drug smuggling investigations speak. Convicted murderer appears in court. And started polling for ABG General Elections.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Wednesday's news. Assistant Commissioner of Police Operations Donald Yamasombi has clarified his involvement in ongoing investigations surrounding the attempted smuggling of drugs out of Papua New Guinea. Yamasombi had come under fire by members of the public with accusations of personal involvement after PNG's largest ever seizure of cocaine. He spoke to EMTV this afternoon in an exclusive interview.
It's been a tough 2.5 weeks for the operations commander of the Royal PNG Constabulary. ACP Operations Donald Yamasombi says he has been targeted with accusations because of the tight-lipped manner in which investigations are being carried out.
I will not speculate. I think it's all because I did not speak up to say this is what we're doing. It serves no purpose to anyone when it is still under investigation. So in the course of this, in the interest of justice, I think because we have kept it tight and not spoken up, maybe the reason, but there is no truth in this.
It's been 17 days since the downed aircraft was found in a makeshift airstrip on the outskirts of Port Moresby City. During that period of time, a number of arrests have been made, which has included Papua New Guineans and expatriates, and the confiscation of thousands of foreign currency and electronic hardware. Sensitivity surrounding the investigations is understandable. A week after the announcement had reached the media of 3/4 of a ton of cocaine had been retrieved, Police Commissioner David Manning had said that this, being a transnational operation, both the PNG police as well as their Australian counterparts were working in cohesion in bringing those involved to justice.
In the context of transnational crimes, it is like to commit an offense, planning is done somewhere else, the staging probably in one country, and the actual results comes out in another country. So they actually cross jurisdictions and boundaries.
Yamasombi has acknowledged the intelligence assistance that has been provided by the Australian Federal Police. And he says, with investigations still very much ongoing, that bringing forth evidence to the police regarding accusations of misuse or personal involvement should take precedence rather than public assertions. Making reference also to the case of a public servant whose alleged involvement in the running of drugs was the result of a domestic spat exacerbated.
So this is an isolated case. The husband of that woman is trying to defame her, to tie her into all sorts of issues. And that is only smearing the good job that our men have done.
So far, 3 Papua New Guinean men, Australian pilot David Cutmore and Italian sailor Carlo Attanasio, have been reprimanded and taken to court. At present, Yamasombi says that more arrests are expected to be made. Jeremy Mogi, National TV News.
Richard Namalu, who was found guilty of causing the death of former Miss Pacific Islands pageant PNG and aspiring lawyer Ruby Laufer, appeared briefly before the court today. The court appearance was to hear submissions from lawyers on sentences based on his verdict.
Richard Namalu, who is out on bail, appeared today at the Waigani National Court before Justice Teresa Berrigan. All parties were present in court today. However, the state and the court are yet to receive the pre-sentence report. The report is needed to assist parties make submissions on Richard Namalu's sentence. Based on this report, state lawyers will file their submissions. The Defense Counsel has, however, prepared written submissions and handed it to the court today. Namalu was found guilty of negligence that led to the death of his girlfriend Ruby Laufer on the 11th of February 2017. Ruby was a former Miss Pacific Islands pageant PNG queen and an aspiring lawyer. Namalu was the last person with Ruby when she died. Her body sustained and revealed several bruises, which the state said was a result of her jumping out of a moving vehicle following an argument with Namalu. It was also alleged that he punched her several times. Namalu was charged on the 25th of July 2017. On the 18th of March this year, the court found Namalu guilty for manslaughter through criminal negligence and was out on bail. Manslaughter through criminal negligence carries a maximum penalty of life imprisonment under Section 302 of the Criminal Code Act. Justice Berrigan today adjourned the matter to Friday 14th to give time to the state to obtain the pre-sentence report and prepare and file their submissions. The court also allowed for his bail to be extended. Shamin Porambeb, National EMTV News.
The Umbrella Hides PDL7 landowners in Hela province want the Marape-Stephen government to know that Hides projects will continue without any disruptions. This comes after what they say is the work of a few leaders who have issued threats to the national government to shut down the Hides project. Vasanatayama files this report in Mount Hagen.
On the rightful benefits.
Locals living in the PDL7 area in Hela province came together to warn their leaders not to threaten the national government. They said they are ready to get their rightful entitlements and royalty payments, and such threats will prevent them from getting their money. They said they will stop any threats from happening and are urging their leaders and few Port Moresby-based landowners not to use force for their personal gain.
On behalf of the association, we will not accept anybody to come and shut down our project. Short and sharp, no.
Few leaders from the PDL7 area had combined with LOs from other project areas and had recently threatened ExxonMobil, Hela provincial government and the national government to shut down the Hides project. They complained that they did not benefit from the 15 million kina yearly infrastructure development grants. However, PDL7 Umbrella Association Chairman Eric Ako said the IDG payment is an indirect benefit for locals that are paid to the provincial and local level governments and other channels.
That is why our leaders in Moresby have given notices to government to shut down the project. So we need to understand the processes behind getting the monies, then giving threats to government to shut the project.
Vasanatayama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
More than 200,000 eligible voters will have the opportunity to vote a new president and members of the Bougainville House of Representatives in this year's ABG Elections 2020. Polling started today in the autonomous region of Bougainville as well as in the 6 selected provinces for non-resident Bougainvilleans. One of these 6 polling centres is in Lae, Morobe Province.
Polling for the Bougainville General Elections in Lae got off to a slow start today. With the light showers this morning, voters slowly made their way to the polling location at Eriku at the Special Education Resource Centre. At about 11 a.m., the polls were officially opened by the Assistant Returning Officer.
We now officially opening polling the Lae Morobe Province, Eriku.
The first 2 men to cast their votes in Morobe this morning were the Lae District CEO, Robin Callistus, and the election manager for Morobe, Simon Saheke.
I believe our voting today is very significant, and we are proud to be the first ones to have voted.
This is the 4th elections that we voted. So people are big have mass law. People take part in this election.
Based on the voter population from the referendum last year, up to 2,000 Bougainvilleans live in the Morobe province. According to the Bougainville Electoral Commissioner George Manu, over 250,000 Bougainvilleans registered to vote in this election. Presiding officer for Morobe, Joel Noga, urged Bougainvilleans in the province to cast their votes wisely due to its significance as the first election after the referendum.
Ratification.
More voters came to cast their votes past noon, with more expected over the next 4 days of polling.
And so very well organized. I'm really happy to come and vote, and I'm looking forward to the results and the future for Bougainville.
Polling for Lae, including the 5 other centres in Port Moresby, Goroka, Medang, East New Britain and West New Britain, started today and will end on the 18th, while polling on Bougainville will continue until the 1st of September. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Lae.
Meanwhile, residents of Bougainville living in the nation's capital today took to the polls to vote for the 4th House of Representatives. The polling in NCD, which started today, will continue in the next 5 days and ends on the 18th of this month. Assistant Returning Officer Terence Hetinu says he's confident the polling will turn out a success.
At 8 a.m. this morning, Bougainville residents gathered at PNG Education Institute to vote for the 4th House of Representatives. The polling in NCD will continue on the next 4 days and ends on the 18th of this month, with all ballot papers packed and transported to Bougainville for counting. According to Assistant Returning Officer Terence Hetinu, there are over 2,000 eligible voters in NCD.
We have about 2,000 plus voters on the NCD roll. From the referendum. That's the same roll that we use for the referendum that is also used for this ABG election here as well. So what I can say is we have a lot of Bougainvilleans here in the city.
The ABG election started in June with the issue of writs, which signifies the start of the campaign period in Bougainville. The polling for Bougainville residents living in NCD was conducted by the PNG Electoral Commission. According to the Assistant Returning Officer, they were asked by the Office of the Bougainville Electoral Commission to assist them in the polling, and they are also assisting in 5 other provinces as well.
Morobe, Medang, East New Britain, West New Britain, and also we have Eastern Highlands for the Highlands region and NCD for the Southern region, where we are conducting these elections. We are given about 5 days to conduct the polling for the people of Bougainville in these BOB provinces.
With more people expected to vote in the coming days, there is also a challenge. People who traveled into the city recently do not have their names registered in the NCD roll. The Assistant Returning Officer says there is a master roll in place to ensure all Bougainville residents participate in this election.
That is the booth where we have the master roll, so that when they are not on the NCD roll, we refer them to the master roll. So that at the master roll, we process them, confirm that they enroll in other parts of Bougainville. Then we issue them with ballot paper so that they can also have that opportunity to vote as well, participate in the election as well.
With not enough publicity and awareness in the nation's capital, the returning officer was pleased with today's turnout. The counting of the ballot papers will begin on the 2nd of September and ends on the 14th of September, followed by the return of writs on the 15th of September. Rayon Lakingu, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. We'll be back with more stories after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. Market authorities have dispelled the recent uproar by vendors earlier in the week of a complete shutdown of the Boroko market. This also follows allegations made against the NCDC management and market authorities for a complete shutdown due to COVID-19. EMTV spoke to the market coordinator this morning. Anna Kora reports.
While it comes with great concern that informal income will be greatly affected by this temporary shutdown of the market, sellers will have to understand NCDC's and market authorities stand to have the market cleaned for vendors to conduct business in a conducive and COVID-sensitive manner. The rise in COVID-confirmed cases in the last 2 weeks is seen to have justified this call of action, being that markets are widely populated hotspot areas where the virus can easily be contracted and spread. The scene at Boroko market this morning spoke for itself. Tables uprooted and shelters pulled down. most vendors having already moved out their goods beforehand. EMTV spoke to Jackson Igila, the market coordinator, who explained the directives issued by NCDC and for vendors to understand this temporary shutdown.
Most of the market vendors, customers, everybody, they never follow the simple rules of the COVID-19. Governor stopped down the market operation.
Understandably, the market authorities sympathize with the vendors' products going to ruins, but it is for the overall public health and safety in trying to keep the spread of the virus to a minimum.
Most of the public, we always survive on local assembly, like selling, selling and buying. We all people normally survive in the market. Market is the main source of income for every one of us in Papua New Guinea.
Youth leader Eddie also shared similar sentiments.
Next week or from week or anytime we'll talk about venom and bamblo venom can govern in Rasumogara. I'm sorry, Lomibla. So Mibla like him was a social distance and minimum behind him. And give talk over also.
Market vendors have been asked to adhere to the advice to come and remove their stalls and pick up the remainder of their goods by 6 p.m. this evening, as after today, whatever is left will be picked up by the garbage trucks to be taken to the dump. Annette Cora, National EMTV News.
Despite the surge of COVID cases in the nation's capital, residents have been urged to start adapting to the new normal, adherent to the measures already in place. The resumption of public motor vehicles in NCD this morning was a start. The advice of mandatory mask wearing, social distancing and carrying 15 passengers are measures yet to be taken seriously by most PMV operators. Major bus stops were not as packed in the morning as was the case before the lockdown, but more buses were seen to be picking up passengers during the course of the day. So far, indications are that there is general compliance by mainly the working class commuters, and many are hopeful this will continue into the future. Residents are again strictly urged to take responsibility of their health and safety whilst moving about in PMVs and crowded hotspot areas in the city. Meanwhile, NCD Governor Pos Pakop has called on city residents of NCD to comply with the COVID-19 control measures in place. He urged city residents to adhere to the new normal and protect themselves from COVID-19. In a news conference this afternoon, Governor Pakop said the city's medical health facilities will not be able to serve everyone if they are sick, and called for residents to be responsible for their own health.
So all the PMV operators too, and the crew, what we as a governor like to give applause and life of people blame me, is the hand of you, each and every one of you. You must maintain protocol as much as possible. There's a talk na rule you may walk in here. No mask, no service here, you must walk in too. You may like my economy come back na broken. You blow line PMV owners, na PMV operators, bus driver na crew. 2 weeks you block maybe na you block staff house na no but income na you block high staff here. Now government hari to apply. Now you like come back to operate there, but you like a big responsibility. Freedom comes with the responsibility. You see, right blame back, but you must look out in. So we like appeal about the PMV operators, helping government, helping you here, helping all people below me to protect all of us from this virus. This virus is for real and stuff. I'm not given something.
And now looking at the NASFund market report, the kina closed unchanged at $0.288 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina is buying $0.2805 $0.3884 Australian dollars, $0.2307 euro and 29.21 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee, cocoa and copra closed lower. Crude oil is trading lower, palm oil and copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 104.53 points lower. The ASX 200 is trading at 25.03 points higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 28.45 points higher. And National EMTV News continues with stories making headlines overseas. When we come back, stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas, Russia says it's made a viable vaccine, with the President Vladimir Putin so confident he's given the vaccine to his daughter. Mass injections are planned for October, but global experts fear critical corners are being cut.
In the global race to make a COVID-19 vaccine, Russia is claiming victory.
Its efficiency has been tested. 100% of the people developed immunity.
In a nod to putting the first satellite into space, the vaccine is called Sputnik 5. Russia is now planning mass immunization in October. Despite less than 2 months of human testing, President Putin is so confident he claims his daughter has been given a dose. But scientists around the world, even in Russia, say it simply hasn't been properly tested. Russia's only just starting crucial stage 3 trials, which are used to show if the vaccine will work safely in a large population.
So we're really at too early stage to truly assess whether it's going to be effective, whether it's going to work or not.
Russia's using just 2,000 volunteers for that final stage 3 step. Compare that to the tens of thousands involved in other vaccine trials, such as the Oxford University one in Brazil.
I hope that the Russians have actually definitively proven that the vaccine is safe and effective. I seriously doubt that they've done that.
We have to worry not only about making a safe and effective vaccine, but creating confidence in the public so that they desire to actually take this vaccine.
US health officials are confident there will be a trusted and viable vaccine by the end of this year. Distributing it to the planet's team of 7.8 billion people, the next challenge.
In Auckland, there is one new case of COVID-19 in managed isolation today, but 4 probable cases, all linked to 4 members of a South Auckland family who tested positive, triggering the city's lockdown.
Our biggest city sealed.
You're going to be staying with your parents? They're going to be coming back?
I've been in police for 17 years now, and this is quite incredible. Strange times we live in.
Strange times again for businesses shutting up shop. And for those that can stay open,
sort of going all right, back to level 3.
Success relies us on all working together.
On the streets after midday, the quiet returned. But this was last night, the panic setting in hours before level 3.
Last night was pretty intense, and I think what was worse for our team is that they were caught, they didn't know it was coming.
By morning, queues far more orderly and far longer. And snaking lines at the city's beefed-up testing centres.
Yes, all we can do is just wait at the moment.
About 2 hours.
We've been waiting in line here for an hour 20.
For some, the wait was more than 4 hours.
Because we've got like 50, 100 people waiting, we haven't got the space to have seating for everyone there.
Auckland rest homes are again in lockdown. Schools all but empty.
It's a bit of a Groundhog Day, really.
And a repeated plea from those in charge.
Keep calm, don't panic.
I know that the virus re-emerging in our community has caused alarm, and the unknown is scary. It causes anxiety for many of us.
And for Aucklanders...
Stressful, but I think we'll be okay.
Better safe than sorry.
Not happy.
And at the airport before the lift to level 3, an Auckland exodus.
So just felt like I needed to get home.
It's pretty scary, right? A lot of people with masks. Pleased to get out.
And there are at least 2 days to go.
Customers are very anxious. Kiwis are anxious. This is terrible news for us. So I get the sort of, the motive to come in and do a huge shop, but there really is no need to.
I believe New Zealanders have a choice. We've seen what it looks like overseas when we don't get this right. I think we know what we need to do to get back to where we've been.
In most cases, it's staying in Auckland and staying home.
If parents can keep children at home, that's the best option. If they can't, we're the next best option. It's what we probably expected here but never wanted.
But here Auckland is, again.
We know how to beat this, but we also know we don't need to look far to see what it can mean if we don't get on top of it. We have a plan, and now is the time to follow it.
And the plan right now is stay at home.
Hurting Auckland businesses are crying out for more government support as Level 3 hits hard. It's predicted that $70 million will be lost in the next 3 days alone.
As the hours counted down, the roads and shops were busy prepping for Level 3. Then as the clock struck midday, the close signs came out.
A little bit shocked and disappointed because we need to close the business again.
The economy had been tracking along nicely, and now a further blow.
Members are telling me that they have had over $100,000 walk out of their business up until midday today, and they're expecting more to come.
Again, I feel like the government's really let us down. I feel really disappointed. We're just starting to get back on track again, and this has happened to us. I mean, I don't know if we'll be able to keep going through this.
Small to big, businesses bracing for more pain.
Like any prudent business, we've always got the ability to deal with some things that are off-piste. We'll handle that and then reassess.
Auckland at Level 3 for just 3 days will wipe up to $70 million from the economy.
People are going to be really concerned about what's coming next, and I think what this does is it really puts pay to that idea that New Zealand is out of the woods.
The Reserve Bank Governor warning the global economic outlook remains weak. He's keeping the official cash rate as is, but boosting the bank's buying of government bonds, basically money printing, from $60 billion to $100 billion.
And we believe any significant change in the global and domestic economic outlook remains very much dependent on the containment of the virus, which is a highly uncertain factor, as evidenced today.
And that further uncertainty is what's really worrying businesses.
More than 3 days, then that is quite worrying.
Job ads and hiring dropped quite considerably, quite quickly.
The calls for more government support getting louder.
We are already financially stressed as it is.
Definitely extend this wage subsidy.
I think it's inevitable we're going to see some sort of extension.
If the government doesn't step up with a targeted hospitality package, businesses will close their door, and we're talking up to 10 to 20%.
All hoping the streets will go from this back to this as fast as possible.
Outside Auckland, Alert Level 2 has seen a return to physical distancing at increased restrictions on gatherings, while businesses are grateful to still be able to operate.
Back at Alert Level 2 and into the old routines. Kiwis outside Auckland signing in, staying apart, and this time some masking up.
For the whole country, it's a pretty bad place to be, but in the long term, I think it's got to be done.
I had a wine club brunch on Saturday and I'm gutted I'm missing it now.
Just a bit disappointed.
Businesses quick to react.
We've had to do the contact tracing app again, downloaded that, and obviously table service as well.
Testing stations in Hamilton, Rotorua and Christchurch overrun with long waits for some.
3 hours since 10:20 this morning.
With domestic travel back up and running, experts say the risk of infection is spread around the country.
It's maybe even higher volumes than we might ordinarily experience because people have been taking holidays in New Zealand rather than going overseas.
At Alert Level 2, public transport will continue as normal, but people are being asked to stay a metre apart if possible and wear a face mask. Gatherings are limited to 100 people again. Gyms today restricting numbers.
We probably have to put on more classes, which again now that costs money with the team, but compared with Level 3 it's a significantly better option.
In Queenstown, ski fields were closed today to sort out protocol. The last lockdown happened before they opened. Some operators already seeing the effects. One business says it'll lose a third of its customers.
Came in this morning to quite a few emails and cancellation bookings from people who are still keen to come and travel, but unfortunately can't make plans at the moment.
Hoping this is just a brief change without any further restrictions being put in place.
And Trukai Sports is next. Kilawani joins us at the sports desk.
Thank you, Helen. Coming up in Trukai Sports, we'll have news on basketball and the Digital Cup Round 6. Join me for the details after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Worldwide sports are coming up with interesting ideas as COVID-19 continues to sweep the globe. International Basketball Federation introduced a skills challenge, only this is done remotely.
So is Haddadi's in the middle.
A unique global challenge has emerged from the International Basketball Federation. This is the Skills Challenge. The Under-17 Skills Challenge 2020 pits the top Under-17 national teams in the world against each other, competing remotely.
FIBA has come up with this initiative to get the Under-17 competition going, but in this form that you can see in the background. Basically, we have about 5 countries from FIBA Oceania region, and we have 5 from the FIBA Asia region. Iran had the same activity happening over there in their country, and we just did ours here at Sir John Guy Stadium.
In the first drills challenge against Iran, the team clocked in 2 minutes 56 seconds with 7 points. Final score is calculated with the total time minus the points scored. Team PNG scoring 2 minutes 59 seconds.
How it happens is you need to work on speed and accuracy. So the lesser time you can execute all the moves, a target type of thing there. That's where the players will shoot through the ball, and then they go for a quick layup, and then after the layup, then they go through what we call the dribbling station, and then they go for a jump stop, 2-point jump stop, and then after the 2-point shot, they rush back all the way up to the 3-point line on the far end.
The team challenged Tahiti, Samoa and Mongolia, while the female Under-17 challenged Singapore, Iran, Samoa and Fiji today. In light of the skills challenge, the former president has called on coaches to get back to the basics.
All the coaches around our country, our beautiful country of PNG, if we can work on the basics right, dribbling stance, shooting stance and passing, if we can get all those little things right, I think we'll have very, very good players coming through the ranks.
After the 8 games today, results will be sent back to FIBA for checks and finalized scores compared with other national teams, then sent back by Friday. If PNG makes the first or second spot from the FIBA results, they qualify for the grand finals, which will be held on Saturday. The much-anticipated Digicel Cup Round 6 game between Egmak Rabal Gurias and Bintango Goroka Lahanis has been relocated due to air travel issues. The game will now be played in Lae on Saturday, August 15, 2020. The PNG NRLC said that flights from Goroka to Kokopo has not been possible, resulting in the relocation of this game.
The much-anticipated Digicel Cup Round 6 game between the Egmak Rabal Gurias and the Bintango Goroka Lahanis has been relocated due to air travel issues. The game will now be played in Lae on Saturday, August 15, 2020. The Papua New Guinea National Rugby League competition manager Stanley Hondina in a statement said the travel issues are beyond their control. He said it is due to the rescheduling of flights attributed to the restrictions forced on by the COVID-19 pandemic that the Goroka to Kokopo sector has not been possible, resulting in the relocation of this game. In an earlier statement, Hondina said other venues including Kimbe, Goroka, Minja and Wabeg are being looked at with the possibility of hosting a match. With the match between the Goroka Lahanis and the Rabal Gurias relocated to Lae, the matches in Port Moresby and Lae remain the same. At 12 p.m. on Sunday, the Moni Plus NCD Vipers will take on the JPG Wagi Tumbe, and the second match at 2 p.m. will see the Central Dabaris take on the PRK Mendi Muruks, and the final in the triple header in Pom is at 4 p.m. The main game is between the Croton Hella Wigmen and the Wampnang Mount Hagen Eagles. Over in Lae on Sunday, we'll also see the matches between home side Lae Snacks Tigers, who take on the Kimbe Cutters, and in the final match, EPG Enga Mioks will take on the PRK Gulf Iso. Fidelis Sukina, Trukai Sports.
Still to come in Trukai Sports, Super Rugby and Netball in New Zealand. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The big sporting question today amongst all the COVID talk was how can the Blues still play on Eden Park this weekend? New Zealand Rugby taking a wait-and-see approach today, hoping for the best-case scenario.
Wheeling out a freshly cleaned exercise bike from a hurriedly shut down Blues HQ. Rico Ioane this morning preparing for at least 3 days of solo training. The players, as much as anyone else, having to quickly adapt to last night's announcement and a fast-developing situation. Their planned training session canned as officials mapped out contingencies, including whether the game could be postponed or played at a different venue.
Are you expecting NZR to make a call today?
No. We've got to take time.
Not long after, as Auckland went into level 3, Blues players were told to get ready to head south for the very real possibility they could base themselves in Hamilton, where they would be free to train as a team. New Zealand Rugby finally updating the situation late this afternoon.
What we do know is the government has ruled out the Blues moving out of Auckland.
While the title's no longer up for grabs, Sunday's game was forecast as a boon for all involved. Eden Park already sold out, scenes expected to be reminiscent of the first weekend of Super Rugby Aotearoa. Then it felt like the ultimate moment of triumph. Today, the stadium's a desolate reminder of COVID's cruel ability to cut down the best-laid plans.
Our focus is on trying to stand these games up in any way possible. Just need to await government advice on Friday.
Auckland's public torn on whether the game should be played as planned.
Depends what happens. If there's lots of cases, no.
As long as there's appropriate social distancing, yeah, I think it should go ahead.
Probably not, really. If there's going to be that many people that close by, I mean, we've just gone into lockdown.
Would you still go if they did play it?
Yep, absolutely, for sure.
Having been one of New Zealand sport's great success stories in these turbulent times, Super Rugby thrown into chaos again at the final hurdle.
The last regular season round of the Netball Premiership this weekend has been cancelled in all 5 games, clear draws. Netball New Zealand will now seek advice on whether the grand final between the Central Pals and Mainland Tactics will go ahead at the end of next week.
New Zealand making a hard and fast decision of their own today, canning the final pool round of the ANZ Premiership.
It was a tough decision, but I think ultimately we needed to do the right thing for our players, our teams and management, and make sure everyone was safe.
5 games were set to be played this weekend across Auckland, Wellington and Dunedin. They've now been declared draws and each team will get 2 points.
The outcomes of the games would not have changed the matchups at finals. So we're kind of lucky that that's how the season has worked out.
They'll now seek advice from the government and Ministry of Health around the grand final on August 23. Invercargill's got a capacity of 3,000 people. It's tracking towards a sellout. What's the likelihood that that game is going to go ahead but without fans?
We would love to have all of our teams playing in front of crowds, but we won't be the determinant of that. You know, that's going to be largely out of our hands. But we really want to recognise our fans. They've been fantastic this season. They've come back in droves to support our game.
There's a lot weighing on those finals matches.
Nolene is going to name her Silver Ferns team a couple of days after that grand final. Those players, I know they're still hungry to get out there, finish the season well, put their hands up, and make it hard for Nolene and Debs to leave them out.
Now with just over a week to go, there's Silver Ferns and silverware on the line.
And Trukai Sports ends here. Helen will be back with the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Bye for now.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus. With you always.
And tomorrow in the southern region, cloudy with a few showers and drizzles, and fine in Port Moresby. Partly cloudy with a shower or two in Daru. A few showers, then fine in Kerema. Fine although partly cloudy with late evening showers in Alotau and occasional rain showers, then cloudy weather in Popondetta. In the Momasa region, occasional rain showers, then cloudy in Leh, becoming cloudy with evening showers in Medang. Fine weather, partly cloudy though in Wewak, a few showers, then fine in Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, partly sunny and fine in Lorengau and Kavieng, cloudy with chance of thundery rain showers in Kokopo and Rabaul, becoming cloudy with evening showers in Kimbe and partly cloudy with a few showers in Buka. And in the Highlands region, a few rain showers, then cloudy in Mount Hagen, chances of occasional rain showers in Goroka and Kundiawa, and partly cloudy with evening rain showers in Mendi and Wabeg. Forecast for small crafts within the coastal waters of Papua New Guinea for the next 24 hours. Waters of southern PNG, Indonesian border through Torres Strait to Daru to Kiwai Islands, through the Gulf of Papua to Yule Island and to Hood Point and Samar Island, seas of 1 to 2.5 meters. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands with waters of Karkar Island to Wewak to Aitape and to the northern PNG Indonesian border, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Samar Island to East Cape to Cape Vogel through Huon Gulf to Finschhafen, and with waters of Manus and its western group of islands, including waters of New Ireland and Bougainville waters, with waters of East and West New Britain, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters, and waters of Finschhafen through Vitiaz and Dampier Straits to Siasi and Long Island to Karkar Island, seas of 1 to 2 meters. A look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea. Seas moderate to rough with east to southeast winds at 20 to 30 knots. In the Solomon Sea, seas light with southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas light to moderate with southeast winds at 10 to 20 knots, with gusts reaching up to 30 knots by evening. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas light with southeasterly winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that's the way it is this Wednesday, the 12th of August 2020. From all of us here at EMTV, pleasant viewing. Good night.